The sulfur industry is worth nearly $13 billion globally, yet the workers who risk their lives mining it in an active volcano earn just $17 a day. Why? Because there's a high demand for this essential ingredient in products like sugar, and in their region that's considered a decent wage. This trend is seen in other booming industries as well, from collecting acai for smoothie bowls to harvesting table salt. People are risking life and limb to make a living in these billion-dollar industries. We travel around the world to explore what it's like to work some of the most dangerous jobs on the planet. In East Java, Indonesia, hundreds of miners brave deadly fumes to extract sulfur, also known as devil's gold. Sulfur is used in everything from matches, fireworks and gunpowder to detergents, paper and batteries. It's even what makes our sugar white. Working conditions inside the Aegean volcano are so dangerous that many miners don't live past 50. Miners like M carry up to 200 pounds of sulfur on their backs, trekking up and down steep cliffs. M has been doing this grueling work for 30 years. This is as far as M can go by bike, as there are no roads to the crater. He must walk the rest of the way, a 2-mile hike up to the volcano's ridge. Armed with just a basket and a crowbar, he descends into the 1,000-foot deep crater where temperatures can soar above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. He works near one of the world's most toxic lakes and is constantly surrounded by dangerous smoke. As freelance contractors, miners have to buy their own equipment, and many can't afford proper gas masks. Instead, they use handkerchiefs or wet towels to prevent the sulfur powder from sticking, but this offers little protection. The smoke inside the volcano is crucial for sulfur production. As the superheated smoke hits the cooler outside air, it condenses into liquid and drips off the pipe. Once solidified and cooled, the sulfur turns yellow and miners can start chipping off blocks. It's sulfur's unique color that gives it the name Devil's Gold. Once M fills his baskets, he hoists them onto his shoulder and begins the arduous climb back. But this sulfur isn't light. It weighs around 154 pounds, while M himself weighs only 132. He hauls it up the steep walls of the crater. Once he reaches the rim, he can transfer the sulfur to his trolley for the 2-mile journey back. The mining company pays based on the weight of their loads. They earn about 9 cents per kilo. With 2 loads, M can make $17 a day. At the end of the day, M returns home to have dinner with his family, Aegean looming over them, a symbol of how he provides for his loved ones while it slowly takes his life. In India, one of the world's largest salt producers, roughly a third of its supply comes from the remote desert. Thousands of families live here, farming salt by hand. Known as the Agarias, they have been salt producers in this harsh environment for generations. Each year, families like Padiagabais arrive at the cracked land of the Little Rann of Kutch in October, bringing everything they need to survive in the desert for the next 6 months, including materials to build their huts, clothes, farming tools, and all their food and water. First, they need to find the key to their Operation Salty brine water underground. They dig 30 feet into the mud to reach it. The families set up government-subsidized solar panels to power pumps that bring the brine water to the surface and then build expansive salt pans by hand, a back-breaking task. They create 10 to 20 pans, meticulously leveling the earth with rollers. Once the pans are ready, the farmers release the brine water from the wells. It flows between the pans, and by the last pan, the water reaches the 24% salinity needed to form large salt crystals. Over the next few months, as the water evaporates, the salt crystals begin to form. They start raking early each morning to avoid the blistering midday heat, but working in such extreme conditions can be deadly. The life expectancy of a salt farmer is around 60 years due to the severe temperatures and exposure to the highly acidic subsoil brine. Many Agarias go blind from years of the sun's harsh glare reflecting off the white salt flats. Because they're so far from the nearest village, accessing medical care is often too expensive. Despite these hardships, they live and work here until spring, harvesting 3 times. The first harvest produces the highest quality salt. In April, they leave with over a ton of salt, but the season's market price is just $2 to $4 per ton. That means a family earns about $2,000 for months of grueling work, well below the poverty line. In the Amazon rainforest, people risk their lives climbing 50-foot-tall palm trees to harvest acai berries. These berries have become one of the most popular superfoods in the United States, with a single bowl selling for up to $15. Despite the booming demand, small farms like Lucas's haven't been able to capitalize on the trend. His family's farm is located about 70 miles from Belém, the capital of the state of Para, which produces more than 90% of Brazil's acai. The only tool they use to climb the trees is a single piece of rope called a picona, once made of leaves, now replaced with modern materials. Today, Lucas's son, Luis Fernando, will climb. Trunks are so thin that climbers must be lightweight. At the top, they swing between trees to reach multiple bunches of berries. Climbing down is risky too, especially while carrying a large knife and an armful of branches. Dropping them could damage the fragile fruit. In 2021, Lucas and his family harvested 53 baskets, earning about $950 or as little as 20 cents per pound. Meanwhile, a pound of processed acai sorbet can sell for $7 or more in the United States. Part of the problem is that Lucas has to sell his acai as soon as possible because the fruit spoils quickly, leaving farmers without processing equipment with little leverage to negotiate prices. Merchants rush the acai to Belém by boat, racing against time to sell the fruit before it spoils. Some acai reaches processing facilities like North Acai, where 22 tons of fruit are turned into frozen pulp daily, which is the form most people outside Para are familiar with. Indigenous people in the Amazon have harvested and consumed acai for centuries, possibly millennia, but today many live in extreme poverty, despite the fruit's popularity. Meanwhile, in Egypt, workers risk their lives mining limestone from the white quarries. This valuable rock is at the heart of a huge industry used in everything from cement and glass to plastic and tiles. It even built the Great Pyramids, but digging up and cutting these precious blocks is incredibly dangerous. Each day starts in Minya City at dawn. The journey to the mountain takes about 40 minutes in trucks not designed for passengers, and falls are common. Once there, miners who are freelancers suit up in homemade cloth masks, gloves and sunglasses to shield themselves. First, they set up rails for 2 cutting machines that slice the stone into perfect cuboids. The machines move quickly, they're heavy and loud. Workers shout warnings to each other because the real hazard is the saws. A single misstep could mean serious injury. Miners are also responsible for fixing the machines when they break and sharpening the blades by hand, which is equally risky. The cutting machines used to have covers, but they fell off years ago, leaving the blades exposed. As the machines cut stone, they kick up rocks and a haunting white cloud of limestone dust. If there's no wind, miners vanish into the cloud like ghosts. Inhaling the fine dust can cause a lung condition called silicosis. Injuries, illness and death are common, but there are no official statistics. At one point, the life expectancy here was just 45 years. If miners are lucky, they might get an extra $3 for food and tea on top of their $6 daily wage. Elsewhere in Southeast Asia, harvesters known as bushors climb slippery limestone cliffs in search of a rare nest made of bird saliva. These nests are found inside caves across the region and are highly valued, with just one worth up to $2,900. They're used to make bird's nest soup, a delicacy believed to have health benefits. In the Philippines, Alvin's family has risked their lives to gather swiftlet nests for centuries. Alvin and his crew set off from Bangalan Point on Mindoro Island, heading to Neat Island, one of the 7,000 islands that make up the Philippines, reachable only by boat. Once on land, they walk barefoot over slippery, jagged rocks, making their own ladders as they go, tying bamboo with rope to scale the cliffs. Advanced bushors like Alvin sometimes use little to no support, climbing with only their hands and feet in a technique known in the local language as gagangkang lang, or like a crab. Alvin has had close calls before, once dislocating his shoulder. If there's an emergency, they're too remote to get help quickly. After spotting the nests, Alvin uses a spray bottle of water to loosen them, gently peeling them off the cave walls. Back home, they clean the nests to remove any feathers or debris, sorting them by hardness and color. The local city hall buys the nests at a regulated price and sells them to private customers around the world. These nests are the main ingredient in bird's nest soup, which can cost up to $100 a bowl. In recent years, demand for the nests has skyrocketed.